right, 22 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Thursday morning. Let me just tell you something from behind the scenes. This is something from behind the scenes. Robin and I will get calls, usually from publicists who are asking us if we'd like to interview a guest that they represent. And if the guest is an author, I will consider differently. If it's a novelist, I'll say, let's just make it 10 minutes. You don't want to talk too much about a novel because obviously the whole point of a novel is to get some entertainment out of it. And then if the novelist has this amazing background, like he or she is an authority on a subject or understands a great amount of history regarding the subject in the book, then we'll say, okay, let's make it 25 minutes, which is as long as we ever go. That's our maximum. Okay. So that's kind of behind the scenes stuff. With our next guest, not only does he have that background that qualifies us to talk about his novel for more than 10 minutes and up to 25, but if I just read all of his credentials, it would take half the show.
I know. He's amazing.
Just reading his credentials would take that long. So let me just scratch the surface. Matthew Palmer is who I am referring to. He has written this amazingly well-written book called Secrets of State. It's described right on the cover as first-rate fiction. I am not really qualified to make that, to say that, because who am I but a radio host? But it is. I mean, it is really a well-written book. Matthew Palmer is a 20-year veteran of the U.S. Foreign Service. He's the Director of Multilateral Affairs in the State Department's Bureau of Asian and Pacific Affairs. He's a 5-time winner of the State Department's Superior Honor Award. He's a life member of the Council on Foreign Relations. If I keep reading, I'm going to take up all of his time.
Yes.
So let's just go to the phone. Matthew Palmer, the author of Secrets of State. It is described as a thriller novel. It goes beyond that, I would think. Good morning, Matthew.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on the show. That was a little embarrassing, but I still appreciate it.
That's okay. We can't see you. So Matthew, where are you? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C.
See, don't be embarrassed, because I understand what you're saying, but to me, it's such an honor to have, for us, I should say, it's an honor to have you on the show because of all of that. And we have authors who basically just wrote a cool book, But in your case, you wrote a cool book, but you got such a cool background, but it all everything leads to the book, doesn't it? I mean, maybe not everything in your background, but so much contributes to it.
Well, in this business, they tell you to write what you know, and I'm very fortunate in that what I know and what I've done for some 24 years in the State Department is remarkably cool and engaging, and something that the American public is not especially familiar with. So one of the things that I'm trying to do in these books is to demystify diplomacy for the American people.
And there are two types of book readers and moviegoers. I guess you could put that group movies into this as well. And I think those are the type who want to, I guess, be entertained, but also get to understand something. Whether it's learning or not, it's not the same as understanding. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, I think that's right. And there's no reason why you can't do both at the same time. I do hope that the people who read my novels come away feeling not only did I love that, not only was I gripped and engaged by this story and these characters, but I feel like I understand something about the world that I didn't know going in.
And there's a lot we don't know about this part of the world. I never really realized the connections between India and Pakistan and Nepal. I never really understood the relationship between those areas.
Well, India and Pakistan, remember, came out of the same political entity. They were all both part of the British Raj. So was Bangladesh. And the process of separating India from Pakistan and Pakistan from Bangladesh was a wrenching, violent, conflicted process that dislocated millions of people and caused the death of millions of people. And it's a history, I think, that we have largely forgotten, but it was hugely influential. And it left behind some residues that are still important on the political landscape today, in particular the fate of the province of Kashmir, which is part of India. Part of it is also in Pakistan. But it's a Muslim-majority part of India that is restive and fractious and a source of tension between these now nuclear-armed neighbors.
Was it a temptation to not make it a novel? Was it a temptation to simply write an historical book?
No. I mean, for me, what I wanted to do was write novels and try and get across some of these themes through fiction. Plus, a historical book would have been incredibly difficult for me to clear with the State Department.
Oh my gosh!
Fiction's a little bit easy.
Your publisher must have been thrilled. I mean, how many publishers have a first? This is your first book. Am I understanding that right? I don't want to say it before I'm.
No. This is my second. My first
second.
is called The American Mission, and it's set in Kinshasa in eastern Congo.
Oh my
and it's
goodness.
about conflict minerals.
Wow. So for the listeners, if you haven't already discovered Matthew Palmer, this is a great time to get to know him. So we haven't even begun. So Robin, you have a question, then we'll go to the break.
Oh, I was just going to say that the way your characters are laid out in the book and everything, it reminds me of being captains or being kings, because it seems like the captains do the manipulation and the kings reap the benefit, but people really think that the kings are running things, but it's not really, it's the captains.
Yes, I think that's a reasonable way to look at it.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be fair to the book when we come back. We'll be fair to Matthew Palmer too. I guess it's like a little bit like being starstruck. I think
Yeah, it is,
when you
yes.
get to speak to somebody like this.
Yes.
So, and I know I just embarrassed him again. I'm just going to embarrass you throughout the whole interview, Matthew.
We're starstruck.
I just hope my mom is listening.
All right, we'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. For today, times of clouds and sun with a shower or thunderstorm around in the afternoon and evening. The high 85 on the coast, 91 well inland, and partly cloudy overnight, those 68 inland, 73 on the coast. For tomorrow, a mix of sun and clouds with a shower or thunderstorm mainly during the afternoon hours, high 86 to 90. It'll be partly sunny Saturday with a chance for shower and thunderstorm, high 86 to 90. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
For generation after generation, America's heroes have been fighting for our freedoms, and it's those freedoms that have allowed us here at Mike Scott Plumbing to prosper and grow in this great land of ours. At Mike Scott Plumbing, we help thousands of customers every day with everything from irrigation to repairing the kitchen sink. But if there's one thing that absolutely, positively needs to be maintained, it's your septic system. If you don't maintain your septic system, it could fail completely, leaving you with a big bill and an even bigger mess. So we here at Mike Scott Plumbing would like to help all of those who have helped us. If you have your septic pumped and you're a veteran, we would like to extend to you a special discount. Just mention this ad. Please call our office to schedule your appointment today, 866-314-4443. And from all of us here at Mike Scott Plumbing, thank you for your service.
What you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
Tell her you love her at least 3 times a day. I love you has a very short shelf life. We get used to sleep deprivation. After a while, our brain starts to think it's normal because sleep loss affects the part of our brain that controls self-awareness. We may be too zonked to know we're zonked. All right, here we go, ladies. The latest beauty treatment is shaving your face. It's supposed to make you look younger.
Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
Hi, Danny Warfel here. Get moving with Florida Credit Union's fast and easy loan approval process.
Let Florida Credit Union start up a new car loan for you today. No more waiting, hassles, or stop signs. You can even apply online. With a strong financial team behind you, you can enjoy great rates and fast approvals.
It's all about personalized service and a streamlined process.
Florida Credit Union, connecting your money to your life.
Putting the local back into radio. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. WOCA News. Variety. Information. Now. Keep your arms and legs on the inside at all times.
All right, 12 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Matthew Palmer is on the phone, and it was just pointed out to me that Matthew's dad is also a very famous writer. Michael Palmer is his dad. Matthew's new book, second book, is called Secrets of State, a thriller novel. And as if you were listening earlier, you heard us tell you that he's got a lot of credentials, including being a veteran of the U.S. Foreign Service. Are you still doing that, Matthew, or did you quit to write?
Oh no, I have these 2 careers that I'm somehow juggling. I'm currently the director for multilateral affairs in the Bureau of East Asia and Pacific Affairs, which I know is a very long title. That's about a 60-hour-a-week job. So I do that and I write at the same time, and it's actually quite a challenge.
Is the writing a form of relaxation for you?
It was up until the point where I had deadlines.
When did that? So tell me about your dad a little bit. I mean, were you inspired to write because of your dad, or do you think it's a genetic thing, or what's the connection?
Oh, no. This is a learned skill. My brother's also a novelist.
Is that right?
And his most recent novel, Constant Fear, came out on the same day as Secrets of State. So we've been able to do some book stuff together that's just been a joy to do. But yeah, we grew up with this as dinner table conversation. We talked about how you write novels, how you develop characters, what a story arc is, how you make it all hang together. And so we learned how to do this literally on our father's knee. And it's been a source of great pride, satisfaction, and joy for me. On the day when my first novel was published, The American Mission, and I walked into the local bookstore, and there on the shelf of new releases was my book, my brother's book, and my father's book right next to each other.
Oh,
that
sweet.
was awesome. That was great.
That is very sweet. So, gosh, I can't imagine.
We like to think of ourselves as the Manning family of commercial fiction.
That's not. If I was your dad, I don't know. I'd be proud of everything. I mean, but having, did your dad have the background you have with foreign service?
No, he was a physician.
Oh, wow.
He was internal medicine and an emergency room physician. So he wrote medical thrillers.
So goes back to what you said at the beginning. You write what you know.
Right, absolutely. Write what you know. My brother started writing. He'd been in .com companies in the high-tech world, so he started writing about that, and has transitioned to more psychological family-style thrillers. So we do very different things, but they have some similar themes. We don't write about superheroes, super spies, super soldiers. We write about ordinary people in extraordinary circumstances.
And that's what you do with a trainer, the character in your book. I mean,
That's right. He's a
wonderful.
regular guy, drives a Toyota Prius, has no special skills beyond language skills and cultural knowledge in South Asia, and those are a network of contacts in the region, and those are the tools that he has to help save not just the city of Mumbai that's under threat and our democracy, but more importantly and more immediately for him, his daughter.
Matthew Palmer is our guest. Matthew, are you okay with taking phone calls from listeners?
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
With the understanding that there's going to be certain stuff, policy stuff, that I really can't talk about because I'm here as a novelist rather than as a representative of the State Department.
All right. All right, excellent. Good morning. You're on the air with Matthew Palmer.
Good morning. This is really a privilege. Thank you. I'd like to ask our guest, if you were going to create a fictional Secretary of State, and you could magically combine some of the traits of the Secretaries of State that you most admire, what traits would you pull from different Secretaries of State? And one specifically that I have a lot of respect for is Cyrus Vance, and I just would like to hear what you think. Some of the if you could magically make a Frankenstein's monster Secretary of State, what would you put together? Thank you. I'll listen on the air.
Interesting question.
That is real. That is a very interesting question, and I think Cyrus Vance would definitely be one of the contributors to this Frankenstein's monster, and I think it's Vance's intellect that I would really want to draw from in building this fictitious Secretary of State. I think I would like Colin Powell's gravity. He was a guy that when you met him, you just kind of wanted to go down on one knee and present him your sword. I think I would want someone who had the kind of relationship with the president that Baker had when he was Secretary of State. And I think I would want someone with the fundamental decency of a Warren Christopher. I'd want someone who had the work ethic of a Hillary Clinton, and someone who had the political acumen of John Kerry, who I think has tremendous political antenna. So that's the kind of secretary that I would build from leftover parts.
Somebody's going to take that entire thing and put it in the press.
Yes.
You're gonna have somebody use that. I love the fact that the question was interesting and the answer was superbly interesting. Just a wonderful answer. Do you know, in today's news, I don't mean today specifically today, but in this day, these times, a lot of the troubles in the world seem to be connected to religious beliefs. And I was wondering about your understanding about not to group Muslims all in one category, but like the Muslim people of Pakistan are in your mind, are they different than the Muslim people and the attitude? And please, I know we have Muslim friends. Rob and I personally have Muslim friends right here in America, right here in Ocala.
Yeah.
So gosh, everybody who knows us knows I'm not picking on Muslims the way some radio hosts do. I'm smart enough to know that there are good guys and bad guys in every camp. But I'm just wondering, and I'm asking you in a way to make an unfair statement about, it's almost like a mini blanket statement, but is there a different mentality with the folks that you would write about in Pakistan, for example, than in Palestine?
Yes, but that's not really about Islam so much as it is sort of broader cultural stuff. That the culture of the Palestinian people is different, and their experiences are different than those of the Pakistani people. And we are all of us, we're all of us humans, but we're also all of us products of our upbringing and our cultural environment. So one of the things I think that a guy like Sam Trainer brings to the story, brings to the table, what he offers, is an in-depth understanding of the specifics of a culture and how that then translates into a worldview and an understanding of how their world operates, how that affects their thinking, and how that affects what they value.
And
yes, I think that.
And in essence, he went from one culture, being a government worker, going to a different culture, being a corporate person in the private sector.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep. And I think that Sam would have approached that job in part the way a diplomat would approach engaging a foreign culture. Learn it, understand it on its own terms, and use that understanding to move it in the direction that you want it to go.
And you've connected that. I guess the core motivating factor of the characters into this book.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And in part, again, that's what I want the readers to come away understanding is how did diplomats benefit the United States? How do they advance the goals and objectives of U.S. foreign policy? And it's by understanding these foreign cultures, developing these very broad networks of contacts at all levels of a foreign society, and then using those as levers to move decision-making in a direction that advantages the United States' U.S. interests and U.S. goals.
Do you think we sabotage their efforts with our press? Not that we shouldn't have our press the way it is, but do you think what we say in the news in this country in our editorial pieces, do you think it is counterproductive to what is trying to be done by the diplomats?
I don't think there's any way of separating freedom of speech and a free press from what it is that the United States wants to achieve universally around the world. That if we're going to advocate for this kind of stuff, if we're going to advocate for let 1,000 flowers bloom in terms of opinions, if we're going to advocate in terms of the importance of a free press as a watchdog, then we have to demonstrate that we have to live that. So in some ways, it can be a huge pain. It can be an extremely difficult environment in which to operate, and yet a free press is not only essential to what we do, it's essential to who we are. So I don't mind it at all.
Will your books change at all when you retire?
I don't know that my books will change all that much, but I think what I do and say in public may.
There is that element of family in your book also that you alluded to earlier with the mention of his daughter. So you have to, you've got such a wonderful balance of the characters in there between their different personalities.
Well, family is something that everyone can relate to, right? This is my settings may be foreign, they may be exotic, but the issues in particular the issues of family dynamics, are very real. They're universal, and they're universally relatable. People will understand them, and they'll be sympathetic to them because they've been through it themselves.
The copy I have is a big hardcover, 400-something page book. It's called Secrets of State. Matthew Palmer is the author. Nice book. Call me if you want the one that was sent to me. The rest of us have to buy our own. And so
I love this book.
Let's see. We need to give out websites, I guess. You have a Facebook page. That's all I have. I don't have a website.
I do have a Facebook page. The website I would suggest for folks is the publisher's website, which is penguinrandomhouse.com. I don't maintain my own website because everything I would put on it, I would need to vet through the State Department, and it would take me forever.
Oh,
my
okay.
gosh.
All right. Amazon is where I found it. So go to Amazon. It's got 26 reviews, and they all look like they're shining. You got 60 shining reviews for the American Mission. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Am I reading it right?
Uh-huh.
Matthew Palmer, thank you so much for being on the air with us today. What an honor, and good luck in everything you're doing.
Thank you very much for having me on the show today. I really enjoyed it.
All right, we'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio, I'm Millian Wu. Former Texas Governor Rick Perry kicks off another run for the White House.
Perry ran in 2012 and had a somewhat gaffe and misstep-prone campaign. He acknowledges that he got in late, wasn't prepared, had recent back surgery and had some problems. This time around, he's gotten out early. He's visited Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, the early voting states very aggressively. He's courted social conservatives, touted his record on the economy as the longest-serving governor of Texas.
Fox's Carl Cameron, meanwhile, another Republican making news today.
Former Florida Governor Jeb Bush has announced that he will announce on June 15th.
A retrial granted in the case of a man convicted